Conversations around Nigeria's tax system have never been this earnest in recent times. Firstly, a number of changes were made and announced by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale, during mid-year 2024. And while the direction is not yet clear for those announcements, then came President Bola Tinubu's message to the National Assembly with a couple of new tax bills for their attention. So yet again, conversations are largely around the sharing formula and a little about the collection, with Nigeria still hovering around the 6% tax to GDP ratio. So on this episode, we'll look at the contemporary issues in taxation and the new policy direction. My name is Leah today, your host. We start straight away from the trends table.
Nigeria's gross domestic product (GDP) grew by 3.46% real term in the third quarter of 2024 on a year-on-year basis. This translates to 0.92 percentage points increase from the 2.54% recorded in the same quarter of 2023, according to the data released by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS). It is also a 0.27 percentage points increase over the 3.19% recorded in the second quarter of 2024. The services sector, which recorded a growth of 5.19%, was a major driver of the economy in the period under review. It recorded a growth of 5.19% and contributed 53.58% to the aggregate GDP. The Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has announced that over 2.7 trillion naira capital has been raised in the capital market by banks and other companies. Of that amount, around 1.7 trillion naira was raised by banks through their recapitalization exercise. The Director General of the SEC, Dr. Emomotimi Agama, made the disclosure while delivering the keynote paper at the Commission's 2024 Journalist Academy with the theme, FinTech, Leveraging Technology to Drive Capital Market Participation. The African Development Bank (AFDB) says it is presently seeking $42 billion to bridge the current financing gap hindering women-owned and women-led enterprises across the African continent. Director General, Nigerian Country Department (AFDB), Dr. Abdul Kamara, disclosed this in Abuja at the high-level dialogue on investment in gender equality and ending violence against women for rights and development, organized by United Nations Women in partnership with AFDB. The event is part of the global 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence campaign, which runs from November 25th, International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, to December 10th, Human Rights Day. The Monetary Policy Committee (MPC) of the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) this week voted to raise the MPR by 25 basis points from 27.25% to 27.5%, and retain the cash reserve ratio (CRR) at 50% for deposit money banks and 16% for merchant banks. CBN Governor Yemi Kadoso, who announced this during the last MPC meeting of the year, said the MPC retained the liquidity ratio (LR) at 30% and asymmetric corridor at plus 500 over minus 100 basis points around the MPR. This makes it the sixth time the CBN has raised the interest rate since February 2024. The Senate this Thursday passed for second reading the 4 tax reform bills transmitted to it by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which have been subject of wide controversy. Senate President Godswill Akpabio referred the 4 bills to the Senator Sani Musa-led Committee on Finance to carry out other legislative action and report back in 6 weeks after they scaled through second reading during plenary. Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, had on Wednesday clarified to the Senate that the bills proposed by President Bola Tinubu aims to lift the tax burden on 90% of Nigerian workers. President Tinubu had on September 3rd sent 4 tax bills to the National Assembly for approval. They are the Nigerian Tax Bill 2024, the Tax Administration Bill, the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill.
Issues around taxation in Nigeria is our focus on the policy with Leah this week, and I had this earlier conversation with Dr. Oni Mobolaji Johnson. Dr. Oni Mobolaji Johnson is a principal partner of Oni Mobolaji Johnson & Co. He's a chartered accountant, a forensic expert, a tax expert with over 2 decades of professional expertise with a passion for excellence and innovation in the academia, corporate leadership, and service to the nation. He joins me to examine contemporary tax issues in Nigeria as the president seeks to get 4 tax bills passed into law. It's nice to have you, Doctor, join me for this conversation.
Thank you, Leah.
Have you seen the bills?
Yeah, I've seen the bill and I've gone through the bill.
What do you make of it?
Well, there's a lot of giving from the government in the bill, and indirectly the government also received back. For example, for personal income tax, the bill tends to favor the low-income earner. Before now, we earn the minimum wage, that of 30,000 naira, that's still around 40,000, you'll be exempted from bill, from tax, from paying tax. But with the new bill, if you earn 800,000 in a year, you'll be exempted from paying tax. So the personal income tax favor the low-income earner and tax more rich people. And indirectly, in the new bill, there is progressive increase in value-added tax. Presently, we are doing 7.5% on vatable goods and services, and now we are going to move that to 10% in 2025 on vatable goods and services, and then from 10% to 15% thereafter. So that has a multiplier effect and can also cause inflation, and can also reduce purchasing power of even the people that you are exempted from paying tax. For that not to happen, government should broaden items that are exempted from tax. The definition of the government are common basic food.
In the last 1 month, will I say, tax has dominated conversations across the country. And why is it such a big deal at this particular time of our lives?
Yeah, it is because if government is not very careful, it's going to affect foreign investments, because the investors, institutions actually have to have a tax planning. Just like you have mentioned, effective from July this year, there is a new regulation on withholding tax. And when that was gazetted, there's an argument when the commencement day is going to be. In the regulation that was well published, the government make a clear written on the commencement day to be the 1st of July 2024. But when this regulation was gazetted, there was a little confusion whether it will start because some early implementers and some people that can now start in 2025. Then thereafter, that is still going on. Then we have the new tax bill. And the new tax bill, what he has done is to overhaul Nigerian tax system. Before now, in line with Schedule 7 of the Nigerian Constitution, there are taxes that federal government can collect, there are taxes that the state can collect, and there are taxes and levy that the local government can collect. That is further backed up by law with Tax and Levy Act, that is 1993. So what government is doing in this new bill, the reason why the conversation is high is because it is an unprecedented bill. It's something that has never happened in the history of Nigeria. The law seeks to repeal the Nigerian Custom Establishment Act, Federal Inland Revenue Establishment Act, and to form a single body, that will be responsible to collect all the government revenue. So you see, within a year, we have a regulation that is controversial, in good in a bit, on when the commencement period should start, and then we also have a tax bill within a year. So government is focusing on this because they want to generate revenue. They are increasing the minimum wage. They need to service debt. And it may really shock you. I need to call your attention to this. In 2024 budget, 45% of the budget of what it was proposed to receive as revenue is to service loan. So, and government is still taking more loan. So there is a financial commitment, responsibility on the government to service debt, the loan they are borrowing, and to also spend more in terms of development. So the government will focus on this at different level, both at federal level, state level, and local government level, so that they're able to meet both their recurrent expenditure and the fixed capital expenditure. As we speak today, the greatest earnings that Nigerians are getting, they are from crude oil. So when the whole work completely go green, there's not going to be crude sales anymore. So looking at the tax to GDP, there's still much to do, but I don't believe the much that we need to do in the tax to GDP ratio should be based on overtaxing the existing structure. But government should rather look on how to bring so many people into the tax net. And I must commend them. In the new bill, they are looking at how to tax Alibaba of this world, how to tax organization that doesn't have shop in Nigeria, that doesn't have establishment in Nigeria, but they do business in Nigeria. They sell their goods and services, taxable goods and services to Nigerian economy. We are talking about taxing organization when you want to buy your software online, you want to buy a particular hub online, because you are the user, you are here, and the organization are not in Nigeria. They seek to tax those people. And that has been the thing that we have been campaigning for all this while. Because if you are making organizations that reside, that are resident in Nigeria to pay value-added tax, it will increase the cost of their goods and services. And people that sell online, a lot of people buy online. They will sell the same goods and services without VAT. So the cost will be reduced, and the Nigerian organization, Nigerian business will be suffering. People will tend to buy where they have a very reduced cost. And what I just advise the government is that they need to really communicate this to Nigerians in a language that they will understand.
I was actually going to ask you if communication is a problem here, because now it looks like there's a whole conversation around the tax bills before the National Assembly, and most people haven't seen it, but are commentators from what we gather, and a lot of people, once they hear tax, there's already that mindset about it. So is government communicating well? And you also raised an issue that is very profound, which is we had some regulatory developments that had not settled about taxation, and then we have these bills coming in. What is the place of communication here?
Yeah, to me, there is a wide gap between what government makes as policy, a tax policy, and to what is communicated to Nigerians. A very, very wide gap. We have a withholding tax regulation signed by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Wale Edo. And he communicated that implementation will start by July. The government at the federal level issued these statements without adequate collaboration with the state. For example, the regulation that was made affects both tax that will be collected by federal government and by the state. For corporate entity, it is the responsibility and the duty, the relevant tax authority for corporate entity, when you do transaction and they would add your withholding tax, is to be paid to the federal inland revenue. And when we talk about enterprises, the state, relevant state board of internal revenue, they are the ones that receive it. And we have someone at the federal issuing a regulation that where we have 5% being collected on the general contract being reduced to 2%. There was issue because after the organization pay tax for the whole year, there's going to be review of the tax they pay, whether through the tax audit or through the desk review. And from January to June, part of that review should be at 5%, for example, on a basic contract. And from July to December, some part will be for 2% that the government have reduced to for the resident organization, while we have 5 to 10% for non-resident organization in Nigeria. Now, the implication of this is this. When you are doing review, you really need to have a cutoff of what is going for 5% and what is going for 2%. And the federal government are not saying this. I think there was a quick rush to issuing that regulation. Then when they now have it being gazetted, they are trying to manage the mistake, the lapses they have discovered. And they created confusion more by saying that, okay, the law is to take effect from 1st January 2025. When you have for earlier issue a statement to take effect from July 2024. You see, you throw the taxpayer onto what to do and what not to do. Do you understand? And there was not effective communication. We have informal sector, semi-formal and formal. And we are looking at the whole chunk of taxation that the government should be expecting, as they are envisaging to have, is going through this informal sector. Because they have the number, they have the highest number of entity, they are the highest employer of labor, their structure are not formal. So now when you make such a regulation, there is need for you to communicate down properly in such a way and manner that they will understand and they're able to implement accordingly. We have issues for some states collecting consumption tax. Some states are not collecting. Some states introducing property tax. Some states are not introducing. Some states collaborating with the local government to have a unified tax system so that people will not see being multiple taxed. So, and they will do all this. There will be a law. I think to every law, there should be a way of communicating the impact of that law on someone that do business in the market, on the woman that has kiosks, so that they will be able to understand it down to the grassroots. And that will enhance compliance. And what they are doing now is maybe by the time you get to your bank is asking you that you need to do your team validation. It shouldn't be. At the point of collecting their money, at the point of doing a very, very urgent transaction or the other, they have to discover that, oh, sorry, you have to move your TIN number to the TIN number from web portal to tax promise. So what I'm saying in nutshell is that there should be effective communication down to the grassroots. Let people understand what they are being taxed for. Let me shock you. You know that what they call tax TV license is part of the well-regulated tax. And when somebody knocks your door and asks you, sorry, I want to tax you for TV license, you will say, what? You want to tax me for paying for watching TV? Yes, we have it in the law. Do you understand what I mean? So there should be a way of communication. And when you're also giving the communication, you should also let people feel. Let them know the impact of the tax that they are paying. Even some West African countries, they have a very lowest value-added tax rate. But people will pay in other climates when they know that they don't need to pay for education, the system are working, the medical system are working, the children can go to school with a peace of mind. People will pay. We pay 20% when they discover that the system are working. But in the right sense, Nigerians actually pay multiple taxes. Because when governments fail in responsibility, what Nigerians are paying for is to also pay, the taxpayer money is to also use to meant for what government is supposed to do in their responsibility. Are you with me? You pay for security to cover you. It's not your own responsibility. From the residual income you earn, you have paid government by way of tax to take care of that. Why do you want to send the children to the public school now? Even with the public university, you know what they are paying. Government really need to consider it and take intentional effort. When they do street a particular law, let people know that this we do, because of the social tax we collect from you. People will be happy to pay more tax. Then when you are also talking about taxation, you also have to see the way your lifestyles. Let me shock you. 2023 to 2024 budget, we have increase in statutory transfer. Let me tell you, statutory transfer are the money from the budget that is being used to pay the judiciary, legislative. Do you understand? And then some certain... Exactly. Now, you discover you are talking about recurrent expenditure, where we have a payment of salary between the 2023 fiscal year budget to 2024. We have the increase about 4%. Do you understand? And that's why I know the issue of increase in salary is going to be an issue. Then we have service of loan, payment to pay interest, not the capital, to be around, I cannot recall now, the increase, the percentage increase due to the continuous loan that we are collecting to be around like 200 and something percent. Then I can't talk to figure now, but I've done the analysis some time ago. Now, you now say statutory transfer. These are taxpayer money. To be around higher than what you have budgeted on the recurrent expenditure. And you see that you are telling people that, oh, there is hope, and indirectly with what our financial figure indices look at is that there is only hope from selected few. So government need to do a lot to gain that confidence, to gain that hope back by ensuring that as they are collecting the tax, people see in a very well clear term the impact of the taxation that they are paying.
If these bills aren't passed before the 2025 budget cycle begins, are there any implications at all?
Yeah, there are implications. The budget are passed with intention to generate revenue. You know, you have a forecast of this is what you are expecting. And if you look at the new tax bill, it is structured in a way for government to generate more revenue. So it's going to affect vis-a-vis the expected revenue that government is intended to generate if it is not passed. Before now, the Nigerian government, they get crew of 1.76 million barrel per day. But now there is a lot of improvement. Another thing is that there will be much more money, but there will be inflation. Because as of last year, the government benchmarked the sales of crude oil at 750 naira per dollar. And the same government destroyed the floating system of the FS and indirectly devaluing the naira. So when you have in your budget that you are expecting 10 trillion at 750 naira per dollar in 2023, and now you are selling higher than that because of the exchange rate, and there's going to be a windfall because this is what to benchmark the 750 naira. And if you sell higher than 750, of course, it's going to be a short windfall account. Now, 2025, the benchmark to 1,400. Of course, I'm going to see with rates at which the naira is going now with the dollar, it will be higher than that. It signifies that they are selling the same quantity of crude oil or a little bit higher, but they are earning much money. And because they earn much money, and they are also looking at to increase the non-oil revenue that come from taxation and other generating agency, is going to bring about inflation.
What would you term as fair taxation when you consider all the parameters before us?
Well, organization would like to have a tax pay in form of a consolidation revenue. What I mean by consolidation is that, for the whole year you are dealing with the local government. All what the local government want to take, let it be served together. It's not that somebody come around and you pay a tenement rate, another one come and collect a parking fee, another one come and collect this, another. It makes it look so. And the way they do it, I need to really stress this, and I want Nigerians to know this. You see, government, especially at the local government level, what they do most of the time is that to contract out a particular source of revenue, levy. And what they do is that they will contract that to the third party. the third party will backroll fund the government that 10 million naira. So they will not be the responsibility to go and generate that money. And we have a law. We have a bypass law. We have the state law that states what they should pay. And it will surprise you, to shock you, when they are assessing, serving assessment, they will ask you to pay almost times 200% more than what the bylaw to pay. So if you are not conversant with the tax law, if you are not conversant with the bylaw, they will frustrate you, they will do this, they will do that, they will take you to court and all the manner of things, or ask you to come and negotiate for your tax. Government need to do a lot of sensitization on what is vatable and not vatable, so that Nigerians will have a full understanding. A fair tax with citizen education, a well-robust education in the language that they understand, so that that will also prevent the officers that collect tax to exploit the citizenry.
Okay, I must sincerely thank you for all these insights, Dr. Mobolaji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And our education segment is next. Simplify this. From there, we'll head to the markets. We're both here on this edition. Don't forget, you can always go to our sister website, www.marketnigeriatv.com. We have all the market details there for you and more. We can also follow us on our various social media platforms and go to our YouTube page. It is at sabanmediaservices.com. Leave your comments, questions, and suggestions, because we value them to serve you better. Until we come your way again, same time next week, I remain Leah Kating Baba Tunde. Have a beautiful weekend. And God bless Nigeria.